And then the final snub was that EMI said, well, we wouldn't have my name on the album, because Phil Spector had now produced it. And I said, well, look, let's have a compromise. Why don't you say, produced by George Martin, overproduced by Phil Spector?
Out of the Beatles' 12 UK studio albums, only one, Let It Be, did not carry George Martin's name as producer, which clearly rankled with George. However, his contribution to Let It Be was immeasurable. George had good reason to be upset by being shafted on the production credit when Let It Be was finally released in May 1970. It was George, after all, who produced all of the original session material, and it was his idea to give the album a live feel by including studio chat and outtakes. Without George's contributions, Let It Be would not be the album we all know and love today. Despite the first day of the sessions billed as only rehearsals, George is there at a chilly Twickenham studios just one day after New Year's Day, discussing acoustics and how best to set up the cavernous soundstage, ill-suited to professional recordings, with practical suggestions.
All you need is really a good acoustic place to be in.
Which this isn't. Nobody's sort of definitely struck on this place. George was saying before, it's not good acoustic.
I like the idea of working with a big PA there, because I think it would trigger off something with you. It'd be like doing a live performance.
Magic Alex had promised the Beatles that he would build them a 72-track recording studio in Apple's basement. Early on, George questions the ability of Alex to deliver such a working studio at Savile Row.
Supposedly. Now, Alex rang me yesterday, George, and said that you didn't think that you needed an 8-track console. Alex said he can build one. Now, the thing is, it might go wrong.
Yes.
I don't think we should have Alex build one, because it's better to have something that we know we can use and is reliable.
And it's George who comes to the rescue again when, on a trip to Savile Row, George Harrison and Glyn Johns discover that Magic Alex's studio is totally unworkable. George arranges for 2 of the MI's 4-track recorders to be installed in the basement, connected up to George Harrison's precious £10,000 8-track recorder, and also soundproofs the leaky basement.
In the meantime, can we have... Yes, I'll put it back. Cheers. All right, okay. Now, Dave, can you control it in there?
Moreover, the towering presence of George Martin is always on hand to encourage, whilst at the same time being honest about the quality of the takes, whilst also providing clear direction to Glyn Johns.
Well, you're getting, you're working so well together now.
Yes.
Let's keep it going.
Well, I won't say no.
George Martin continues to arrange and produce the sessions, whether it's advising Paul on his bass sound, helping Ringo arrange Octopus's Garden, or helping Paul on the long and winding road.
So I'll get that fixed. Yeah, but I will get it fixed.
I'd like to hear more bass still.
See, I just don't know what these fucking dubs do, actually. It seems to be at a loss without it.
It would be nice, paradise, Octopus's Garden in the shade.
Yeah, maybe I've got it wrong.
Can you play a little louder?
On the day of the Rooftop concert, it's George, once more, first through the door at 3 Savile Row to produce the sessions, assisted by Glyn Johns and Alan Parsons. George's talents weren't just limited to production and arrangement. He played on approaching 30 released Beatles tracks, mostly on keyboards. In Let It Be, he can be seen jamming with the boys on Dig It, on maracas. It's somewhat ironic that Phil Spector was drafted in and given carte blanche to add overdubs to George's own productions. On numerous occasions throughout the sessions, George suggested tracking, which were vetoed by John. The Beatles believed they had only enough material for 7 songs and have an extensive discussion about what to do with the clock ticking away, fixated on the idea of releasing a 14-track album. George is on hand to reassure them, producing a list from his pocket.
So what songs have we got? Have we got a sort of list of what we've got? Because
A lot of them are I mean, there's too much of a list there. There's certainly everything.
Okay.
Absolutely everything.
I've got a feeling, don't let me down, get back.
The final Beatles recording session with Paul, George and Ringo was on the 3rd of January 1970 at Abbey Road. Once more, George was in charge of the controls as the group recorded I Me Mine. In 2003, with the release of Let It Be Naked, George finally got the belated credit he so justly deserved when he was listed as sole producer. A fitting credit to a man who owed so much to the Beatles' legacy.